you've been here before, you may know these rules, but if you haven't been here before, you don't know these rules. So the ground rules for this event are as follows. And then after that, I have a couple of thank yous, and then we'll get going. Okay. So the sponsoring organization, in this case, is the Call newspaper. So be sure you thank them profusely for being the sponsor. And they have done certain duties, like selecting the date and time, finding the location. So speaking of location, we have to profusely thank Andres and John at Andres for the use of the venue, which is way more elegant digs than I usually have to do these events. So it's wonderful. And also thanks, Dan, for making the connection to Andres again this year. So the sponsor has found the location. They have invited all the candidates who are certified to appear on the ballot. And they have kindly found tables for us, and they have the right to ask any seriously disruptive audience members, or candidates for that matter, to leave if they decide to. Okay, so here's what the candidates will do. Your part as the audience is coming up pretty soon, so pay attention. So the candidates have 2 minutes apiece for an opening and closing statement, and 1 minute to answer each question. The candidates have the right to speak to all questions. They should focus their remarks on what they believe, and they're going to present their own positions and not really refer to an opponent's positions or an opponent's remarks. So focus on yourself and let other people take care of themselves. And they're going to remain respectful to all participants in the audience. The audience, that's you, are going to submit questions. We do not write the questions. You, the audience, write the questions. I have some that have been submitted online already. I have some that have been submitted already in writing tonight. If you need to ask a question, want to ask a question, and don't have a card that you can write it on, please raise your hand now or at any time during the forum, and one of our league volunteers will come and bring you a card. All right. So that's what the audience is going to do, and the audience is going to write questions that are of general interest and cover issues, not personalities. The timekeeper, here's your timekeeper, folks, is going to time all of the opening statements, the answers to the questions, and the closing statements. Indicate 30 seconds remaining. Okay, again, because our whole kit got left at the office, you're going to have to put up with our makeshift. Usually, audience, we have beautiful printed name plates for each candidate. We have our red and our yellow paddles for the candidates, but it just didn't happen tonight. Sorry, folks. Okay, and it's my job to explain the procedure, to read candidates' questions. I'm going to retain the right, of course, to combine questions that are similar or address the same topic. I'm going to give each candidate the equal opportunity to answer the questions. I'm going to enforce the ground rules, and I'm going to determine what questions will be asked and attempt to cover the areas that you folks are really interested in. All right, you can actually live stream or record these events, but we ask that you not have visible campaign banners, clothing, or buttons during the forum. All right, I think with that and a little bit of disorganization here, we're going to get going. So what we have is on April 2nd, you have the opportunity to vote for 2 among the 4 candidates for 3-year terms. You're going to correct me if I'm wrong now. Okay. And those are way to my far left. And then we have present tonight, so far, 5 candidates for 2-year terms. And you get to vote for 2 of those, right? Right. Now, we will have, you can move over if this other candidate doesn't show up here in about 3 minutes, okay? That'll make sense, because for the audience, they will see the 4 3-year candidates and then all of the 2-year candidates together. So that'll make great sense for the audience. Let's do that. The other thing that we have to do tonight is we have to pass microphones back and forth. So that's a little cumbersome, but we'll make it work, folks. Okay, with that, I'm going to start with the opening statements. And the way we do this is we're going to start with Mr. Mehlville and go all the way down. And then when we do closing statements, we'll go in the reverse order. Okay, so we're going to pass this microphone all the way down.
We good to go? Okay. My name is Patrick Mehlville. I'm a candidate on the 3-year ballot. I'm a district graduate. I went to Rogers Elementary, Oakville Middle School, and Oakville High School. While I was a student in the district, as many of you may know, the Mehlville School District faced many challenges, and working to try to correct some of those has been a great passion of mine. So when I decided to move back to the district after attending college at the University of Missouri, I have a bachelor's of education and 2 masters in education. I just thought, hey, I'm going to run, I'm going to try to serve, and I was lucky enough that I ran unopposed 3 years ago. And I've tried helping out with the Prop S committee, helping out with the Prop E committee, and really everything. And my campaign's focused about 3 things: student safety, academic achievement, and also community engagement. Obviously, I know there's still room for improvement with academic achievement and student safety. Student safety might mean something different now that we have Prop S almost implemented. We're about a year or 2 away now. But really focusing on students' mental health and seeing the crisis that's happening around our country. This is not just a Mehlville School District issue. It's certainly something we want to address. We know our students are facing a variety of pressures in 2024, so really trying to focus on what we can do to help their mental well-being. And finally, community engagement. I'm really proud to try to be out in the community as much as possible. I've attended over 400 events around the Mehlville School District since I was elected 3 years ago. I average an event 1 every 3 days. I try to go to basketball games, choir concerts, theater performances, National Honor Society inductions, anything I can do. I know it's important to try to meet parents where they're at. I'm also grateful that all of you could make it out tonight, but parents are busy, community members are busy, so if I can catch them at their kid's basketball game, it might be easier to talk to them there. So really trying to be out in the community, go to all of those events. It's very important. Again, I'm a district alumni. I care deeply about this district, and those are the 3 most important issues to me.
Thank you. Mr. Summers? Hi, my name is Amy Summers. I am a mom in the district. I have 4 kids. Their ages are 2, 4, 7, and 10. So I have a vested interest in how well the district does. I decided to run because I have a bachelor's in business and accounting, and I decided to run for school board because our current board has become a weak, rubber-stamped board that doesn't represent the students or the taxpayers anymore. Parents are paying for tutors, RPOs are raising money for the school playgrounds, and the board is paying for a new administration building, and that's frustrating for me. My 3 main goals are academic excellence. I want to reward good teachers, and I want fiscal responsibility because the taxpayers deserve that. So I am just hoping that we can achieve something great. I thank everyone for coming out here, and Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Velke.
Hi, my name is Tori Velke. With over 23 years of residence and service in this community, I bring a deep-rooted commitment to our schools and a passion for education that has only grown stronger over time. As a proud educator with a degree in early childhood education, I've had the privilege of shaping young minds, both as the director of a local preschool and most currently as a pre-K teacher at Faith Early Childhood. My personal ties to our school run even deeper, as my husband is a product of Mehlville Schools K through 12. Our 3 children have graduated from Oakville High School, and our youngest is a current sophomore. From the moment my children enter kindergarten, I've been actively involved in PTOs and booster clubs. Through my service on district committees and discussions with our then interim superintendent, it became clear that without dedicated individuals prioritizing our community and students' well-being, our district faced significant challenges ahead. Since my time on the board, I've been an advocate for enhancing parent and community involvement in our decision-making processes. Through surveys, listening sessions, steering committees, and focus groups, we prioritize hearing from all stakeholders. This commitment to transparency and accountability ensures that our community remains informed and engaged every step of the way, including their involvement in shaping our strategic plan. Using this plan as our guide, we've expanded avenues for student success through innovative programs like Flex, CAPS, My Path, and Early College. The passage of Prop S has allowed us to strengthen safety and security measures across our campuses and address some critical deferred maintenance issues. The passage of Prop E enables us to retain and attract the best educators and staff. The unwavering ballot measure support by our community is a testament to a strong foundation of trust that has been missing for years prior. With the hiring of our new superintendent, I am committed to continuing the progress we've made in supporting the long-term vision and goals of our community. In seeking re-election, I pledge to remain student-centered and dedicated to moving our district forward. Thank you.
And Mr. Simakaitis.
Good evening, my name is Jim Simakaitis, and I just want to start off by saying I need to make a confession here. The speech here tonight was a tough assignment for me because I try to see the positives in everything. But tonight, I'm a challenger for the seat, and so I guess I'm supposed to talk about what's wrong with our district while pinning the blame on all the incumbents. That's politics 101, right? So yesterday I was laboring over what became 3 different opening statements that I was going to deliver tonight, each one of them more scathing and judgmental. So that by the end of the night, I was finding the whole board guilty of everything from global warming to world hunger. But today was a new day, and I threw all those away because I couldn't help but feel that I was maybe missing a bigger point here. You see, it suddenly became clear to me that while our current board should be held accountable for some of their actions in the short term, we are facing much bigger long-term problems that began the better part of a generation ago. Problems not so different from what other school systems, both local and national, are facing. Test scores are down, taxes are up, and most of us, including me, are asking, is this as good as it's going to get? There's a saying that you learn to worship what owns you. It originally referred to drugs, alcohol, bad habits, and ambition, but now it also can apply to school systems. Beginning in the 1930s, the tax-funded American public education system first came into being. And ever since then, the infusion of more and more tax money has enabled our government to exercise more control over how public schools are run and what they teach. Look no further than the U.S. Department of Education and its mission. So we now have no choice but to go along because we need the money and the government knows it. Which brings us back to where we are here tonight. To me, the decision coming up on April the 2nd is more than just about seats, give me a minute, on the school board. First and most important, we have to restore the trust relationship between the board and the taxpayers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Cut me off, huh?
That happens, you know, that happens. All right, next comes, I'm gonna keep going in the line because it just makes less passing of the microphone. So it's Mr. Palomar. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Venki Palaman, and I served on the Mehlville Board of Education for 9 years, including 3 terms as board president. We had several accomplishments during that time, including implementing tuition-free full-day kindergarten, which gave 5-year-olds 500 hours of additional student teacher instructional time. We built the district's first ever auditorium without ever asking for a tax increase. We added several advanced placement courses and changed the grading system to challenge students to work harder. We added high school counselors to provide college and career guidance. And finally, we helped restore the public trust with the passage of Prop R in 2015 and A in 2016. Unfortunately, since that time, despite tens of millions of dollars of additional revenues spread out among 600 fewer students, Mehlville's performance has not improved. Tonight, you'll hear many excuses from the four incumbents, including COVID, or claiming it's impossible to compare this year's performance to previous years. Here are the facts. Any school district can be compared to state averages in any given year. It is true that academic performance in all Missouri districts declined due to COVID, but Mehlville declined more. Over the past 7 to 8 years, student performance in math declined in Missouri. Mehlville declined more. ACT college tests, which are predictive of future success, also declined in Missouri. Mehlville declined more. Mehlville has previously had the same superintendent for 8 years, and these four incumbents together have 26 years combined service. They're the ones in charge. They own the current state of the district. Yet today, Bayless and Fox and Arnold are higher performing school districts in reading and math. Mehlville parents and taxpayers deserve better. Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Mahacha.
Good evening. My name is Bob Mahacek, and I'm running for one of the 2-year terms. I've lived in South County all my life and the district since 1994. The family has been in trucking since the 1920s, and I owned a trucking company, Barron's Express, for nearly 3 decades before selling in 2016. Trucking is fast-paced, and you're always solving problems. In addition to problem solving, successful small business owners are always looking to improve, while at the same time being fiscally responsible. As far as community involvement, I've been doing volunteer work all my adult life. I'm a past Volunteer of the Year at Central Institute for the Deaf. I personally printed and donated ABC books to at-risk children. I've been a longtime supporter of Our Little Haven, regular blood platelet donor, sponsored an 8-year-old girl named Brenda Lee down in El Salvador, and I do weekly dog therapy at Delmar Garden South. Additionally, I work with former gang members from Chicago, helping them adjust to life after prison, looking for positive ways to keep people from going back to prison, as well as preventing young people from joining gangs and going to prison in the first place. And that is where education comes in. A solid education can be a great equalizer, while a poor education is literally a pipeline to prison. So I want to focus on academic excellence, especially for at-risk students. For the students doing well, that's great. Let's challenge them to do even better. For students falling behind, we cannot give up on them. Every child deserves a challenging education. Also, let's improve discipline by supporting stronger consequences for student misbehavior to ensure a safer, more productive classroom. So that's why I'm running. I want to help others, and I believe with my life experiences, I'm uniquely qualified to make a positive impact on the district and our students. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Moore. So right now, a teacher, I can talk loud.
Good evening. My name is Mike Moore. I'm a married father of 2, and I live here in Oakville. I attended Mehlville District schools from elementary through high school. I'm running for the school district Board of Education because I refuse to subject my children to the woke DEI social programming being pushed from the top down in this district, and I am not alone. There are a lot of parents that can't be here tonight because they have children, but I'm here for them. There's an ever-growing population of parents that pay an unholy amount of property taxes, but are forced to turn around and pay to send their kids to private schools so that they are shielded from the social agenda. These unethical tax hikes, made possible by the school board incumbents that are here tonight, couldn't have come at a worse time for families all across the district. Families from all socioeconomic classes are struggling to keep their heads above water, and the current Board of Education was all too happy to do the equivalent of tying an anchor around our necks. I have been in the high-level business world for coming up on 2 decades. I have a deeper understanding of how contracts work than the current board could ever dream of. I will stop social programming I will vote to roll back the tax hike, and I will use my experience to cut every ounce of fat that the current regime has built into their supplier contracts, so we can put it towards hiring and maintaining the best educators. These will be educators that value academics like math, science, and reading, not people who use the occupation of being a teacher to tell second graders about their sexual preferences and escapades from the prior weekend. If you want more successful children, stop trying to sexually confuse them and start teaching them real academics. If I'm elected, you will never have to guess where I stand on a voting issue. Ask yourself a simple question. Does the program lead to smarter, more successful, and physically safer children? If the answer is yes, then I am voting for it. It doesn't get much simpler than that. So I urge you to vote for Mike Moore on Election Day. Thank you.
Ms. Fredo. Hi, everyone. My name is Jean Fredo. Do I? Oh, yeah, my house, and that kind of thing. My name's
There we go. Hello. How is that? Better? My name is Jean Preto. As many of you know, I've lived here in Oakville my entire life. I was born a half mile up that road on Porter, and now I live a half mile up this road on Pottle. So I guess I haven't gotten very far. But anyway, we have 2 daughters, both graduates of Oakville High School. I've been married to my husband Joe over there for 53 years. And they have blessed us with 8 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. One of the grandchildren goes to school here in the district, and one of the great-grandchildren now goes to school here in the district. So I have a vested interest in this. And I also live in the district, so I pay those taxes too. I have a bachelor's degree in music education, and I have a lifetime teaching certificate, K through 12. And as any of you know who've gotten teaching certificates, that just means I'm old, because they don't offer them anymore. I also have a master's degree in education, supervision, and administration. I first joined the Mehlville School Board in 2014, and things were pretty much a mess. Services were being cut left and right. We were in big danger of falling off the edge of the financial cliff. Even our teachers' salaries have been frozen 4 times. Imagine that. Then we brought in Dr. Gaines to turn our ship up straight, and he did so. He got us financially back on our feet again, and since then we've had tremendous improvement. And while the academics have always been a priority, there have been bumps in the road, not just in the Mehlville School District, but across the nation. But now we have Dr. Hogg, and he is going to set this academic situation forward. We have complete faith in him. I came board member because I know for a fact there are people on the existing board. Thank you. Vote for me. Just vote.
Thank you. Ms. Hassler.
Hello? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Peggy Hassler, and I am currently the president of the Board of Education. I have served for 7 years. I graduated from Mehlville High School and have a degree in business administration, and I have worked in a law office for 38 years as an operations manager. I have 3 children, all attending Mehlville schools, kindergarten through high school. I have extensive volunteer experience within our schools, having served on the PTO exec boards at Blades, Bernard, and Oakville High, Oakville Hockey, baseball, and orchestra. I have also served on many other district committees through the years. I started getting involved at a district level when I participated in a focus group called Compass, and I served as the campaign canvassing co-chair for Prop C in 2010. In 2014, we had an interim superintendent that exposed some serious problems within the district, contrary to what the previous superintendent and the board led the community to believe. No long-term financial planning, salary freezes, 5 of them, layoffs, and not enough money to pay off debt. The district was deficit spending and sinking the ship financially and academically. Facing $8 million in cuts, I attended a town hall, and afterwards a few of us began our wheels spinning on how we could help. We began a grassroots parent-led committee, now known as MOU. As a co-chair of this committee, we worked tirelessly to educate our voters and successfully passed Prop R, the first operating tax levy in over 28 years. Many say this victory saved the district. I later ran for the Board of Education in 2017 to ensure the district was spending the proper funds as promised and helped be part of raising that sinking ship. I'm committed to utilizing our resources effectively to deliver a top-level education while maintaining fiscal discipline, ensuring the safety of all children and staff, consistent facility upgrades, and competitive compensation. My focus is on long-term planning, continuous improvement, and ensuring the success of every student and staff member.
Thank you. First question, just keep your microphone down there. We'll make it easy as possible on that. The question is, what are your ideas to increase our students' test scores? Let's start with Ms. Hassel.
Well, we already have a plan. We are working on that diligently. A couple things, we have a Success Ready network system that we are part of with the state of Missouri, us and 20 other districts in the state, and that's going to focus on testing in a different way than doing the MAP testing that is basically an autopsy of children. After they, at the end of the year, they test on all these things. We don't get the results for 6, 7, 8 months. They're already on to the next grade level when we finally find out our MAP scores. So drilling down into our curriculum department and making sure that we are testing and teaching all the state standards along the way that's our goal. We also have to consider that we have an increase in English language learners and free and reduced lunch, which will bring our test scores down. Our English language learners has doubled, and they have to take math and science. They don't have to take English ELA because they can't read English, but they do have to take math and science when it comes to our state testing. So bear that in mind.
Okay. Ms. Prado?
Well, what she said, but also the fact that we have over 60 different languages being taught in our district makes the some of the test results maybe skewed somewhat, since, as Peggy said, they do have to take the math tests that everyone else takes, which, by the way, are usually word questions. So they're not able to read the questions, but they have to answer them. So, you know, it's kind of a catch-22 for the kids that are not English-speaking students. Also, we have put in place over 26 or 29 interventionists to help these students who are struggling somewhat, and that seems to be helping a great deal already. But like we said, now with the new testing systems, we can get on it sooner rather than later. With the state MAP scores, we had to wait 6 to 8 months to find out what the kids were behind in before we could even help them. So I think all these things are going to matter. I think it's going to help tremendously.
Mr. Moore?
Kind of like what I started with, I think we need to focus more on the academics versus a lot of the social stuff that's going on in the schools currently. So obviously that's math, science, reading. I don't know how, you can't test a kid into being smarter. So it's great that there's going to be some new testing things, but that doesn't really fix the underlying issue of getting higher test scores. So that boils down to like getting and keeping good teachers, pushing ones that aren't necessarily great out of the district. They can find employment elsewhere, but we need to have the best teachers possible. We need to pay them appropriately. So it's pretty simple. You have the best educators, you're going to end up with smarter children.
Mr. Mahatma?
I believe on that, I do agree on the, put more of the focus on academics, and I think that in talking with some teachers, there was, some people have mentioned that they thought the previous superintendent didn't quite have that academic focus. So I am excited about Dr. Hogg. It does sound like, so that part is going to be a positive change, so I'm excited about that. And also one thing that I really like is the already what looks to be a strong anti-bullying program. It can improve that even more, because some of the individuals that I talk with, as far as these former gang members, they've been individuals that have given up early on because they felt they were behind, they were slow, and bullied by other people, which is hard. Might seem hard to believe, but that's very important, I think, to have a safe environment for learning. Thank you.
Mr. Paul?
Yeah, I think the big thing, like it was just mentioned, was focus. I was hearing before that the former administration just wasn't really focused on those two things. And it's great that the board is aware of this now. They've mentioned some of the deficiencies, but ultimately the Board of Education is responsible for the district's performance. And it just requires a leadership that focuses that and directs the superintendent to focus on those things. And for a district like Mehlville to be below state average in math, a wealthy, affluent district to be below state average, that's just not acceptable. And so my focus will definitely be on the reading, math, and the ACT scores, which are, like I said, predictive of future success. And by the time students get to high school, those ACT scores determine a big part of how much scholarship money they get. So all those things are important, and all those things can be improved.
So now, Mr. Simakakis.
Thank you. Yeah, one of the things I do in my spare time is that I volunteer as a tutor at one of the low-income apartment complexes here in the district. It's not through the Mehlville system. It's through an outreach program from my church. I've been doing this for the past 5 years. So what I'm seeing there is the product of the Mehlville school system. Now, I know we have a lot of high performers and shining, bright objects that we put in the Mehlville Messenger, which is all great. God love them. But what I'm seeing here is the ones at the other end. And what we're working with is very challenging. We are up against it because these kids, they not only don't want to learn, but I don't think they have quite the ability yet to learn, especially as far as reading and math, which I am working with them in. So when I have more time, I can probably explain this a little bit more, how our approach is. But what a rewarding thing that we do, most of all, is establish relationships with parents, and that's one of the keys. Thanks.
I agree with the points that Ms. Preto and Ms. Hassler brought up. And in addition to that, a few things to point out. We spent many years figuring out and placing things in front of us to financially secure our district. That was very important, and it needed to happen, and it has happened. And focusing on academics has always been important to the board, and it's always been in the front of our minds. In being able to hire our next superintendent, he has hit the ground running with the task we have for him for improved student performance. And so many things have already taken place. Being able to have a specific assistant superintendent who is charged with helping our elementary level students, as well as a separate one for middle and high school students. Seeing our professional learning communities occur in our schools. Thank you.
I am excited to hear that the board is looking into new curriculum because I feel like that is definitely part of it. I know that MAP scores don't get published for 8 months after, but knowing that my kids are in school, I know that we focus a lot on iReady scores, and that can be a good indicator of where your kid is and how they're learning. So the school does have some, or the district does have some measures in place that they can keep track of those kids that are struggling. And I think that the other thing that we need to focus on is the academics and less electronic time. I don't know how much, my kids are on their Chromebooks a lot. And I know it probably saves a lot on paper, but there are some kids who aren't going to learn based on a computer, and they need that interaction with the teacher more than they need that Chromebook time. Thank you.
I'm glad all the other candidates got the 1-minute questions first because I realize how fast it's going now. So I just wasted 10 seconds. Anyways, the long answer is we've done a lot of things over the past, my 3-year term. We added an ACT prep class to both high schools. We maintained interventionists, 18 of them in our schools. We have added curriculum directors back to our schools. My senior year in 2015, we cut curriculum directors and administrators. And some of those administrators were not principals. They were people focused on fixing our curriculum, and we fired a majority of them, where we only had 2 or 3 people doing curriculum in our district. I'm very excited to say, we have a new strategic plan coming up in the next few years. The next board will set the next strategic plan. This is great. We know we need to do some adjustments. But for as much as people want to criticize Dr. Gaines, and I am one of those people, look at Mosaic. That is innovative learning. His main focus is our best elementary school in terms of test scores. We just need to do a better job of now focusing on everything else, getting our curriculum department back together, and fortunately, I think Dr. Hogg will be able to help out with some of this. I apologize, I don't want to go over.
Microphone right there. Next question. School board is a team sport. How will you rally to get stuff done aside from going home?
It's really funny. I think people who know me know that we all aren't best friends. The four incumbents are all not best friends all the time. We've had big disagreements, certainly during COVID, certainly over where our focus should be as a district, certainly on a lot of things. I think part of it is just professional development. In my first term, I got the highest honor the Missouri School Boards Association can award, and it was really just trying to get, I've only been on for 3 years. Everyone else of the incumbents have been on much longer, but really just learning from them, trying to collaborate, and then getting as much possible professional development that I could get. I'm relatively close to my student experience. I graduated from Oakville less than 10 years ago. I have a bachelor's and 2 masters in education, so I can use that. I'm currently a professor of business now. I love teaching, but really, again, just trying to get as much professional development as possible so I can even sit at the table with my colleagues and start having the hard conversations. It was like just getting caught up in this first 3 years, and then just being a good person. It's really just as simple as that.
I think respect can go a long way. I mean, if you respect somebody, you can disagree with them, but say it in a nice way. And you're always going to have disagreements, you're always going to argue, but I think it just comes down to researching, doing the work yourself, not just taking what you get and going, okay, well, this is it, what do we do? But researching and having those discussions, that's really important. Thank you.
Thank you. Over the past 6 years, regardless of the board makeup, we have had our times of agreement and our times of disagreement. And we've always found a way to collaboratively listen to each other, approaching things with an open mind and a questioning attitude. It's been important for us to collaborate in that way so that we put students' interests in the forefront of every bit of decision making, so we can come together in agreement of what works best for our schools. And that's going to take disagreement, and it's going to take listening and understanding. And we have to have those skills to do that, to move forward. And yes, be kind. Be kind even in the fact that we might arrive at a spot where we have to agree to disagree. And still at the end, we all are 7 voices, and we come together to represent the district.
What I didn't mention during my opening remarks is that I spent 28 years in the Air Force as an officer, and during that time, I supervised a number of teams and spent a lot of time in meetings. And some of these meetings got quite contentious that I had to moderate. So I found that the key to that is always try to get opposing sides to say yes to each other. And that requires, first of all, detaching myself from the issue and seeking to understand first before being understood. I may have my own opinions about things, but I think that when you have a group of people, especially a school board with 7 individuals on it, that may have opposing views, I would seek to understand those first before I start imposing my own. And if I'm the leader of the group, then maybe my opinion matters a little bit more, but if not, I would seek consensus, first of all. Okay, thanks.
I think working with other board members really comes down to building personal relationships. I served on boards that had other board members that were politically far to the left and others that were politically far to the right. In a couple of years, they were actually on the same board. So it's really about working with those with different views and eventually trying to get things done for the benefit of all. A good example is a tuition-free full-day kindergarten, which was really a game changer for the Mehlville School District. During that time, we actually had some very conservative board members that questioned $50 spending on warrants that the district was putting out, and yet they passed the tuition-free full-day kindergarten. They also approved the auditorium, the $6 million facility that was built on time and on budget. And again, that came from a board that had very differing views. So a big part of it is reaching out, building personal relationships, and making the case as to why you think a particular policy or action should be in place. And we got things done at the time, and I'm comfortable serving on a board regardless of the makeup.
Yes, I think we always want to do what's best for the students and then simply treat others like we want to be treated. And I'm always saying attack problems, not people. And I think that's one of the most important things there. We can attack problems, not people. Thank you.
This is one of the simpler questions to answer. It's my job to go into these type of situations where it might be hostile across the whole country. I've been in national sales for a long, long time. So I can go into situations where you have people with different viewpoints and come out with agreements. So this is what I do. But I have no issue with thinking that I can resolve questions or issues between myself, possible other board members that have differing views, and yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yes, we have well, I've been there 10 years, so that makes me the OG. And we have 7 different personalities. And believe me, they're all 7 completely different personalities. We have a type A on steroids. We have a fact finder. We have a statistician. It just runs the gamut. But everybody has something that we need to be on that board and make it work. And we respect one another despite our flaws and despite our what we do good and what we do bad. We all respect one another, and that's the bottom line. So it works. We make it work, and I hope that continues.
Okay, team sport. It is a team sport, but I agree with what everybody else has said. Varying views is that's the important part of being on the board, is having different viewpoints, being able to agree to disagree and walk away with a handshake and being friends. Also understanding that once a decision is made and that's the vote, then the board needs to respect that and not move on, not be controversial about it later on in the future. Basically being an adult, good to disagree. Somebody said that somebody else's opinion might matter more, and that's false. Every opinion matters equally on the board. We are each have one vote. And somebody also said seek to understand, which was in my notes also the answer. So always seek to understand what you're voting on, and then make your decision based on what is best for the kids and the district and the community.
Okay, I'm going to try to stick with some of our usual customs while respecting the microphone issues. So we're going to start with Ms. Fredo, come down this way, go back there, and then we'll go the other side of the table. Okay, Ms. Fredo, you have to answer first. The whole idea, you see, is to have different people have to be first. So that's what I'm trying to do with this craziness, and yet I'm trying not to do too much with the microphone stuff. Okay, so the question is, everybody, how will you serve both anti-woke and woke students and parents in the district?
That's easy. We only have one kind of student, and that's a student, period.
Mr. Moore?
Well, as far as this goes, it's one of the things that I wanted to run for. So if we could just return back to teaching, just like when I was in school at Oakville High School, to teaching academics and not worry about any of the social programs or social justice movements, any of that. We go back to science, math, reading, English, things that matter, things that will make your kids and students more successful in their lives. None of the other stuff honestly matters that much. There's the Victim Olympics going on. Who can be the bigger victim? I don't care. We're here to make these children smarter and more successful, to go out into the world and show what Mehlville School District is.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just to say you want to treat others like you want to be treated. I mean, it's really that simple, and the focus should be academic excellence, because at the end of the day, as an employer, we want employees that have a good education. So keep it simple and focus on academics and treat others like you want to be treated.
Mr. Palomar?
So the question was, how will you serve woke and anti-woke? That was the question?
How do you serve woke and anti-woke parents
Gosh.
and students?
All right, interesting. Okay. I really don't, it's really about the students. I don't know how else to say it. It's really about keeping the focus on the academics, like was said earlier. So I guess that's all I have to say.
All right, now let's pass it down so that Ms. Hansler can answer.
Okay, woke, I don't even know what that means, but whatever. SEL, emotional health of our children is important. We are probably all fairly decent parents in this room, but we have a lot of students with needs, and ignoring those needs does not mean they are going to be good students. We have to address the issues that they bring into our buildings. We have a lot of transient students. We have a lot of immigrants that are new to the country, been here a day or two, and they come into our buildings, know English. I mean, we have to help kids, all kids, no matter what. And in fact, there's a lot of government guidelines that make us do that. So woke, I don't know what that means. I consider every student an important student, and I want to help that student both academically and with any needs that they have at home.
We're gonna pass down to Ms. Summers. She's gonna be first.
Is that on now? Okay, yep, we're good. Okay. As was said before, I think focusing on academics is important. You're not going to be able to please every parent, whether they're woke or anti-woke. I think that each student deserves to feel safe. They deserve to learn, and that's really the focus. You want to make sure that they're learning and that they feel safe learning, and then they'll thrive.
Okay, Ms. Belkey, this way.
Every student matters, every student's family, every family that is tied to that student matters. Encouraging relationships with those families and students, with each school teachers, principals, is critical in developing a strong bond that will help every single student. Again, also woke, unwoke, I'm not quite sure what that quite means, but if it has anything related to social emotional learning, I would just point out that in various questions, I think almost every single member candidate running here has brought up the idea of being kind, getting along with others, and compromise. And that is one of the exact same things that needs to be an integral part of teaching our students.
So talking about woke versus not woke, we're talking about politics, apparently, political views. Remember, Mehlville is a school district, and what is the purpose of a school, right? A purpose of a school is not to advance political views. The purpose of a school is for the education of minds. Okay, so myself as a board member, and I'm hoping the rest of the board members feel this too, our concern is for the 9,500 plus kids of the Mehlville and Oakville districts. You know, I mean, as far as individuals, that's going to be up to the administration of the individual school, and if it's a serious enough problem, they can bring it to the board, and then we can set policy for it. But other than that, we should be focused on the macro level as a board of the entire population of the school district.
Okay, great. Now, all the way down to Mr. McKelvey. I didn't forget you.
So I'm I'm gonna do a bad job of addressing these questions, I apologize. There's not a 7-year-old in our district that is woke or anti-woke. There is not a 9-year-old that is woke or anti-woke. Regardless of the students who come through our doors, the best part of public education is we serve all students. Northside, Southside, Beerbaum, Rogers, Berkeley, Bernard, it does not matter. Public education is about serving every student. Thinking about students, like even trying to make myself think about students in a woke or anti-woke context is crazy. We have 3rd graders in our buildings. These students are not woke or anti-woke. Sorry to even indulge the question.
Let's start with Ms. Belkey on the next question. And we'll keep it at this end for a while. Sure. You've answered. All right. So we have a number of questions here about taxation. One says, do you agree with the board's decision to use the Hancock Amendment loophole to levy more taxes than the voters approved? All kinds of other questions about the level of the taxes, the cost of an auditorium, and so forth. So comment in general about the board's fiscal responsibility,
In regards to the tax rollback,
taxes and spending.
okay. I was a part of the board that did not vote to roll back our taxes. Our tax rate had been 22 out of 22 for a long time. We have now moved up to 18 out of 22 in St. Louis County. Won't revert back to past mistakes, learning from the challenges of the early 2000s through 2015. And during that time, budget cuts, deficit spending, salary freezes, and deferred maintenance were prevalent. We listened to our community. We are listening to our community. We are allocating those funds to help our schools to move forward with projects like HVAC without the need to take out GO bonds that would cost an additional $12 million to our taxpayers for nothing but interest. Our students and community deserve well-maintained buildings and conducive learning environments. And so important to make strong financial decisions for our schools.
So I'm not sure about how the loophole worked, or it sounds pretty complicated. All I know is that my real estate taxes have gone up $100 a month, not counting the increase from the property assessment. And that's from me. I'm on a fixed income with a retirement and stuff like that. I can just imagine for some of our elderly homeowners who may have a harder time paying their property taxes because of this increase. You know, so the increase, it gave more money to the district, and now we have more revenue to spend. But anytime there's a tax increase, you need to go to the voters and have them decide instead of having it done unilaterally by the board.
And send it down to Mr. McKelvey.
So, here's what I'll tell everyone today. I made the decision. We did not roll back. All I can do for everyone in this room, whether you are a fan of that move or whether you are not a fan of that move, is to show you that I am working every day to be as fiscally responsible as humanly possible, and that we are investing in ways that Proposition was intended, as well as trying to move our district forward. I want to accomplish things that every candidate have brought up, academic excellence, all these other things. It's awesome to hear people say that they will be able to roll back your taxes, cut fat from the budget, but somehow maintain happy teachers, move things forward, and we're also going to solve our infrastructure problem, which was a 30-year problem, and we only invested $30 million. Lindbergh School District put $100 million in a singular building. It takes money. All I can tell you is I will work as hard as possible to spend that money as fiscally responsible as possible. I understand I have disappointed a portion of the community. All I will do now that I have that money is to work hard.
Okay. And Ms. Summers.
As a mom with 4 kids, paying more in taxes is definitely a hit to the budget. And I think that we should honor the taxpayers by rolling back that extra money that was taken. I think with an accounting degree, I can be of great help to the board in looking at finances and helping to maybe see where we can make cuts without damaging our schools and our academic excellence and our teachers. I know that the HVAC has been on 4 or 5 different Prop Ps that we voted on since 2000, or not Prop Ps, but propositions since 2000. So the money for HVAC should be there. I'm not sure where the funds are going, but I'd love to dig in and look at it. Thank you.
Okay. Now, we'll pass it down to this end. We need to go as far as Mr. Moore. And then we'll come this way and then we'll go back. Okay, so the question is really a comment about the tax rate, spending in the district, loophole, Hancock Amendment loophole for the auditorium.
Well, whether you're a senior citizen on fixed income or a family with 5 kids, this was just uncalled for. The voters voted for one thing, the school district stole more than 200% higher than what people voted for. So I would say if this was 100 years ago, you'd be tarring and feathering folks now. But luckily we're more civilized than that, but I would have never voted for that. I'll vote to roll it back. You know, we need to be more fiscally responsible. You think there's no way to cut from the budget, but obviously there's always ways to cut from the budget. So I will personally take a look at these things when I'm in office. I know we have a facilities person, but who's checking his work? Anybody? Not when I talk to you. So anyways, I'll roll it back and we'll do tax increases, but stuff that the voters vote on, not just willy-nilly throwing numbers out.
The budget is online. Every expense is online. And every piece of revenue is online for anybody to look at any day of the week, any hour of the day. It's there.
The contract, all the different contracts?
You can see them if you want. They're in the agendas.
It's
They're
not
on
a debate.
everything.
Okay, this-
Michael Moore's idiot. You're an idiot.
Stop.
Oh, now. Okay, wait, let me answer. Wait, mister, sit down. Sit down. We don't want none of that here. We don't want any of that here,
Quiet,
okay?
or we'll discontinue the vote.
I looked over there first, okay?
All right, Ms. Pareto, are you finished?
No, I haven't even started yet.
Well, yes, you have. Go ahead.
May I speak for a minute?
Yes, you have.
Thank you. The tax thing, I almost forgot where I was. I know nothing about accounting, and that's why I relied on 5 financial advising experts when we realized that there was going to be an opportunity to either roll back or not roll back. So at that point, we knew that the real estate taxes were going to be higher than they were last year, but we didn't know the full extent of it. And we did have needs in our district that were going to either be paid for by us, or we were going to have to take out a GO bond, a general obligation bond, and pay $12 million interest on it this year, next year. So what did I decide to do? Go with the interest-free route. And I pay those taxes too, by the way.
All right, Ms. Counselor?
Okay, so going back to my original opening statement and talking about the lack of support we had in our community for literally 30 years. We are an anomaly. Our buildings are deteriorating. Our community did not support them. We did not do any work to any of our buildings for 30 years. Try doing that to your home, and let's talk about how that works out for you. The tax rollback, we did not steal. Prop E was approved at 3.9884% tax ceiling, and our current tax ceiling is 3.9680. Assessed value did rise. We did not find a loophole. In fact, there is a state statute, 137.073, section 5.4,